In the quiet village of Umoma, nestled between thick forests and rolling hills, a baby girl was born. Her mother, Adiku, held her close, smiling despite the pain of childbirth. Her father, Okeke, looked down at the child and sighed. "A girl again," he muttered. Adiku's heart sank. She had hoped that after 3 daughters, her husband would finally accept this one. But Okeke wanted sons, strong boys who would grow up to till the land and continue his name. A girl, he believed, was a burden. They named her Ngozi, which meant blessing, but the villagers did not see her that way. People in Umoma believed that some children were born with bad luck. Ngozi had a small birthmark on her forehead, and that was enough for them to start whispering. "She carries a bad sign," the old women in the village would say. "She will bring misfortune." And so, from the moment she could walk, Ngozi knew she was different. As a child, Ngozi played alone. The other children did not want to be friends with her. "My mother says you are cursed," one girl told her when Ngozi tried to join their game. At home, things were not much better. Her older sisters had been married off early, leaving Ngozi alone with her mother. Okeke barely spoke to her. He only acknowledged her presence when he was angry. Adiku, however, loved her daughter deeply. She taught her how to weave baskets, how to cook, and how to listen to the whispers of the wind. One day, her mother would say, stroking her hair, "Someone will see your worth." But the villagers only saw her as the girl no one wanted. When Ngozi turned 16, she was of marriageable age. In Umioma, girls were expected to marry early, and families took great pride when their daughters received proposals from good men. But no one came for Ngozi. Her mother tried to arrange marriages for her, but every family refused. "That girl," they scoffed. "She is not beautiful. She is not special. Why would our son marry her?" Even the poorest men rejected her. Some said she was too quiet, others said she was too thin. But the real reason was always the same: she had been marked as unwanted from birth. Ngozi stayed in her mother's hut, listening to the whispers of the village women outside. "If a girl cannot find a husband, she is useless," they said. She tried to ignore them, but their words dug deep. One evening, Ngozi went to the market with a basket of yams to sell. She stood in the corner, quiet as usual, watching as people moved past her. A group of traders had come from another village, Abodo, bringing fine clothes and strange-looking beads. Among them was a tall young man named Obina. He was not just any trader, he was the son of a wealthy chief. Obina walked through the market, observing everything with sharp eyes. He was looking for something or someone. When he spotted Ngozi, he stopped. She was not like the other girls, who laughed loudly and fluttered their eyes at him. She sat alone, hands folded, her face calm. "Who is that girl?" he asked one of the traders. "That," the trader laughed. "That is Ngozi. She is poor and unwanted." Obina frowned. He did not like how the man spoke about her. He walked to where she sat and greeted her. "What is your name?" he asked. She looked up, surprised. "Ngozi," she said softly. "Why are you sitting here alone?" He shrugged. "Nobody buys from me." Obina smiled and bought all her yams. Then, instead of leaving, he sat beside her. They talked until the sun began to set. She told him about her village, about her mother, about how people thought she was cursed. He listened, truly listened, and for the first time in her life, she felt seen. The next day, Obina went to her home. He stood before her father and said, "I want to marry your daughter." Okeke was shocked. "Why her?" he asked. "Because she is different," Obina said simply. The village erupted in whispers. How could Ngozi, the girl who had been rejected by everyone, be chosen by a rich man? "It must be a mistake," they said. But it was not. Obine took Ngozi to his village, where she was welcomed with joy. In Abodo, no one called her cursed. No one looked at her with pity. For the first time, she was loved and respected. Years later, Ngozi returned to Umuma. She was no longer the lonely girl sitting under the tree. She wore fine clothes, her hair was braided beautifully, and she walked with confidence. When the villagers saw her, they could not believe it. The girl they had called useless was now a woman of great worth. But Ngozi did not return with bitterness. Instead, she brought gifts for her mother and food for the hungry. She forgave those who had hurt her. From that day on, the people of Umuoma learned a great lesson. A person's worth is not decided by others, but by what is inside their heart. And so, the girl they had once rejected became a woman they all admired.